Alrighty, y'all, we got a trade to discuss here. Tim Hardaway Jr. is on the move, as expected, for Quentin Grimes. So they're swapping between the Pistons and the Mavericks. I'm a little bit behind on this stuff today. I've had a lot of business stuff to do on my end with my company and everything, but we're getting to it one way or another. So this was a trade that had a little bit of steam maybe like 2 days ago or something like that. I don't know. My concept of time is pretty much gone at this point. But some people have been saying like, oh, this could make some sense here. Detroit was one of the teams that we figured Tim Hardaway Jr. could be moved to. We knew the salary dump was kind of happening, and I'm going to touch on like Tim Hardaway Jr. and everything because I feel wrong calling it a salary dump. Like, yes, that is the purpose of it, but also Tim Hardaway Jr. was not fitting in with this team very well. So I just wanted to touch on that and be like, I'm calling it a salary dump, but I don't want to call him like a dump of a player type of a thing. So the other part of this trade is that the Mavericks included like 3 second-round picks in the move. I have to imagine that's all the second-round picks that they have at this point. I don't know how many more they could possibly have. They don't have a ton of draft capital to work with in general, but obviously they're trying to win a championship. Bringing Quentin Grimes in makes a lot of sense for the Dallas Mavericks. Quentin Grimes, obviously this last year had kind of a down year, was dealing with a lot of injuries, obviously got traded as a part of that Bojan deal and everything that brought him to the Knicks. Grimes goes over there, plays like 6 games or something like that, and then gets hurt again, so he doesn't get to play anymore. And the opinions of Grimes have soured a little bit because of that, but I don't know. I just think this is a poor year to sample size him from. If we look at like some of his other stats. Here was Quentin Grimes' shooting chart in 2022-2023 during that season, of which he actually played 71 games, and shout out StatMuse. You see a 48% from the corner here. You see 36.7 there. Not bad by any means, but like he's a good three-point shooter for the most part, right? Really likes this side of the court. As you can see, he's good from shooting on the perimeter and getting to the hoop. He's a very analytically sound player. The Mavericks are playing that style of basketball where these are the only things they're going to ask him to do. He's going to fit into that. The reason Tim Hardaway Jr. didn't fit into that quite as well is because that's not the type of player Tim Hardaway Jr. is. If you guys watched any like my finals recap videos, I kind of talked about this. There's certain players that when they fill in this kind of microwave role that they're supposed to be, and that's what Tim Hardaway Jr. is, right? He's kind of a scoring punch kind of guy. It doesn't work to just put them on the perimeter and be like, yep, just wait for your shot to come. That's not how it happens. You have to be very intentional with how you give these guys their shots. Like Tim Hardaway Jr., we saw in that one game, right, where all of a sudden he got really hot because, you know, they've got the reserves in, and you could say it's partially because of that. But no, the reason shots started falling is because he's intentionally like having plays run for him. He knows when he's getting the ball and he can go and just be in his rhythm and everything. Like, I can't tell you how many guys I've coached like this. It's actually a pretty common thing, all said and done, in the basketball world, just like this type of player. And he was just never going to get to play that type of role as long as he was in Dallas. So honestly, I think it's a good pickup for the Pistons. The Pistons desperately needed some shooting, so you're going to get that in this. Hopefully they can run some plays to actually go get him like some buckets on it, because like Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a scorer for like his entire career. Like it's by no means like a coincidence that he's put up some really good numbers in his time. Like scoring is just what he does. Let's just take a look at like not even his per 36, not his totals. I want just like his stats per game. Here we go. So like 14 points, 14 points, 14 points, 16, 15, 18. Like he's a good player, and like he's a good shooter at the end of the day too. So I'm not worried about Tim Hardaway Jr. It's just, can you find the right scheme for him to go into? And we don't know what the Pistons can do, right? Like, we have no idea what they're going to roll out this year. We don't know who their coach is or anything. Their organization's making a lot of weird moves with their draft picks and everything. So it could just be the end for Tim Hardaway Jr. for all we know. But like, I know Cade Cunningham at least did a little bit of like a, yes, like somebody's going to run around a screen and I can pass them the ball and they're going to hit the shot. If they put him and Fontecchio out there, they might just have a shot, right? So let's hope they bring Fontecchio back. But I think it's a good move for Detroit otherwise, though, because like it hurts, I know, a little bit to the Detroit fans, right? Because Grimes was someone that you're like, okay, that's part of the future, right? That's what you got for this Bojan and Burks trade and everything, and now he's gone. So I kind of get that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'd probably just rather have Tim Hardaway, like a guy that's a little bit more ready to play right now. Yes, you're not getting maybe as much defensively out of him as comparison to Grimes, but honestly, I think you just got to have some vets on this team that know how to play basketball at this point. You got to start winning some games now. So I think this helps them in that sense, but I know it sucks. It's not a fun thing at the end of the day, but you know what, Detroit, your organization's not being run well anyway, so it's how it is, unfortunately. But again, Grimes in Dallas, I think that's going to be a really interesting one, presuming that he gets healthy again and everything. I think we'll start to see more of this again, right? If you have a PJ Washington Q Grimes thing going on, well, then you got some good things going. This is also really important for Dallas because obviously this gets them out of a certain like apron status. I believe this gets them out of the first apron then, which we did in our ideal offseason video. We did like a little bit different order of the trades if I remember correctly, but this gets them out of the apron. That means that they can give Derrick Jones Jr. that mid-level exception kind of like deal and everything. They can bring him back, so that's a huge thing there. So this capitalizes on two needs for Dallas, right? The need to bring back Derrick Jones and the need to get rid of Tim Hardaway. Yes, you had to give up some picks to do so, and maybe there was a better way to go about it, but this does get the job done, and you do get a player back that you can actually use, in theory, presuming he's healthy and everything. So I think it's a good move, all said and done. I'm not too worried about the fit for either team. I think it's going to be cool. So yeah, shout out to them. Let's talk about some other things that have happened in the NBA, by the way, because I don't want to make like entire videos on them. Some of the other things you saw, Emmanuel quickly got a 5-year, $175 million contract. Not really surprised by that. It feels like a lot of money, because it is a lot of money. So what is that? That's like $35 million a year, $35 million a year. That is a lot of money, isn't it? And so here's the standard we all have to remember, and I have to remind people of this oftentimes in like the Discord and the comments and stuff like that, where they're like, this guy's not worth $20 million. I'm like, guess what, guys? I feel the same way. My initial gut reaction is always that way because I was a guy that grew up in like the 2010s basketball, right, and everything. But we're in 2024 now. A starter costs you, like a solid starter is going to cost you $20 million. Like a below average, like a slightly below average guy, like maybe like your 6th, 7th man off the bench is going to cost you like $17 to $20 million. Honestly, a good starter is probably $20 to $25 million, something more so like that. But we'll say an average starter level player in the NBA, probably $20 million if they're within the right age range and everything. So a guy like Quickly, it still feels like an overpay, but you know what? He proved in his short time there that he's going to be a capable shot maker. We all knew that was the case. This is who they want their point guard of the future to be. Going to be more of the scoring attack and maybe not as much of the set everybody up type of point guard, which, you know, is fine. Like, they went and made that trade and they brought him in, and him and RJ Barrett, like, honestly, were really good contributors for Toronto this year. So we'll see what happens when they have a full offseason to actually go through and, like, make some changes and stuff. Scotty Barnes has his big-ass contract now, so you got everyone pretty much locked down. This is actually a really good tweet right here and something I didn't touch on with the Tim Hardaway Jr. thing. Detroit does today what Charlotte did yesterday. They're using cap space to acquire draft capital. That's always a smart way to do things. We all learned from that Brooklyn Nets team that rebuilt just like a little bit quicker after the whole like Paul Pierce and like Kevin Garnett debacle that they had and everything. And they were like, okay, we have no future now. And they were like, okay, we're just going to keep taking all these like mismatched players and everything and try to assemble something while also taking on draft capital. It's a really smart idea. So credit to them. We've had a couple of these things happen today. Chris Paul intends to move back the date of his guaranteed $30 million. Makes a ton of sense. Cool of Chris Paul to do that. They're actively trying to work out a trade. There's going to be people that are like, oh, well, who needs Chris Paul in the team? That's not what's going to happen. Like, what they want is they want to get something back for Chris Paul in some capacity, and they're trying to leverage the fact that none of his contract is guaranteed to try to help somebody else get out of some sort of cap hell. I don't really know who that would be at the end of the day. I don't know who's trying to get like under the cap to go get somebody. Like, it would have to be somebody that's trying to go get like a Paul George or something like that, right? I don't know who else would really benefit, but what would happen is Chris Paul would get sent to another team. The Warriors at least get something back, and then that team probably cuts Chris Paul because they don't want to pay him $30 million, and Chris Paul just goes into free agency, right? Which I'd be really curious to see where he ends up after that. Probably the Lakers or something like that. That just seems to make the most sense because then LeBron can be like, here, train Bronny, right? But also help me win some basketball games. Also, that would just be super cool. JJ Redick, Chris Paul, and LeBron in one like locker room. Like, holy shit, they might be the most efficient basketball team of all time. That'd be super, super cool. Next thing we got to talk about, they're picking up Bruce Brown's $23 million option. Fair enough, doesn't mean they won't trade him still, but they're like, look, we might just use him this year. I don't think that's a big deal at all. The Charlotte Hornets are waiving Seth Curry, but they will keep talking about a new deal and everything possibly. Interesting. It's not a bad idea to have some good vets on the team in Charlotte. And Landry Shamet is getting the Chris Paul situation here. So again, could be used as a trade piece or something like that. So some interesting stuff going on in the NBA. I like the way that the new offseason is structured, honestly, except for the 2-day draft thing. Like, I presume that happened because of Bronny, but like I don't know the exact reason why. I haven't had somebody tell me like a good reason as for why that happened yet. I just don't know at the end of the day. But some interesting things happening. I just like all these like little moves that can kind of take place now between now and like the start of free agency and stuff like that, and like the new negotiations of contracts and stuff. Like the actual like free agency period might be a little bit more lame now because of that, but I do like the fact that guys are incentivized to stay where they're at. Now, I just think that's good for the league. It helps fan bases stay connected with their players. I personally miss the days of having like your guys on the same team for like forever. Like I just got really close to the Bulls teams that I rooted for, and I don't know, I kind of miss that. So like it always was really cool when like one new player would join the team, right? You're like, oh, this is the new guy, right? So I don't know, it makes me a little bit nostalgic, and I like stuff like that. Who doesn't like a little nostalgia at the end of the day? But yeah, no, so that's everything. This video ended up becoming a little bit more than just the Tim Hardaway Jr. trade and everything. But yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. If you're an asshole in my comments, I will let you know. And if you keep doing it, I will hide you, and then you don't get to interact anymore. It's that plain and simple. I'm really sleep deprived. I'm going to go order Domino's because Domino's is the best valued pizza in this country. I'll fight you on that in the comment section. But anyway, I really appreciate it. You guys, talk to you later. Bye.